It's like 10 in the morning. I just woke up from a really weird dream. But before I get into any of it, I just want you to listen to these birds. I'm just sitting here having coffee, listening to them while it's raining. I want to tell you about this dream, but the more I'm thinking about it, the more it really doesn't. I guess it kind of does matter. I mean, the most basic way I can put it is I was in this other world, and there was this kingdom that was being sieged by these people who were dressed up like they were allied forces. Like, this world looked like it was from Narnia and Lord of the Rings and Star Wars put together. And it was weird. It was space age, but it was also prehistoric, and it was also medieval, but also kind of modern day. It was fascinating, honestly. And there were these people who, in the main kingdom, this planet, this like world that was conscious, and this world had inhabited, like, it made a body for itself to inhabit the world it was in. So, like, the earth making a body for itself. These people that lived in this one city, they captured her and, like, split her consciousness into these cloned bodies. And in this dream, I was one of the clone bodies, and I was these like the infiltrators. They were trying to turn me against the main group, and it almost had worked. Like, in the dream, I didn't know which side I was on or anything. Like, I was part of the forces that were sieging the castle. And then I saw that the castle had these, like, fairy godmothers protecting these babies and children. And I walked through this gate, and I didn't have any forces with me or anything. I was, like, walking through these gates, blasting things out of my way, like, never moving everything, just with a thought. And I saw these fairy godmothers guarding these babies and children, and I thought, well, this is fucked up. And I looked at them, and they looked at me, and we kind of recognized each other. And I turned around, and I'm like, is anyone here hurt? And, like, instead of attacking them, I just asked them if they needed help and where the rest of them are. And they're like, no, we're fine. And I'm like, okay, stay here, don't follow me, and don't help me. And I turned around, and I think one of them helped me somehow, because I started seeing glimmers of light all around me. It was like this weird auric shell. I turned around, and I went back to this other place where there was, like, this water area, and they were fighting, and this woman was running towards me with this baby that she had dug into the ocean to find. And it reminded me of the last dream, or the dream I had the last time I saw my previous partner, where this tidal wave came and drowned him in the water. And I stayed in the water with him, and I didn't die in the water. I just stayed there and, like, held his body and turned into a statue. This other lady went into the water and got that baby out of the water, and while she was coming out of it, someone was trying to hurt her, and I noticed this, and I stopped time in the dream, and somebody said, "You're not supposed to be able to do that." And as soon as they said that, I turned around and I looked at them, and I felt with so much like rage in me, and I'm like, "You were about to hurt that woman, weren't you?" And this person was like, "That's none of your business. You don't have authority to use this power." As if I'm in some kind of a DMV, place renewing an ID. And I think I said the equivalent of "F you" in whatever language that was over there. And this nincompoop, like, we were standing in this castle having this like dressed in these barbaric suits and like these witch regalia and like these weird occult things, and I mean, it looked like a fantasy world. And he's telling me I don't have the authority to stop time, and I was ordered to go destroy that woman and the baby. And as soon as he said that, I responded with some profanity, and I grabbed him and turned all of the reality we were in into an apartment building, and I threw him onto the couch, jumped on top of him, and I held his face down and touched his face to where like the color in the dream siphoned into me. And I asked him a question: "Who are you and who sent you?" And he turned around and said, as much as he could turn around, he's like, "The better question is, who are you?" And I'm like, what the fuck? And the dream at that point, I got lucid because I was looking at my hands. And I held him down even farther, and I stopped time in that dream, and I held him in this state of like being powerless and being drained, but also being conscious. It was really fucked up, the things I was doing in this dream. Luckily, I was on the, the side for life. And I when I was holding him down, he was like trying to say something. So he said something about me being a clone of the essence of the earth, and that I was trapped in this place so that I could be used as a battery source, because what other battery source would be better than the universe incarnated into, like, the earth incarnated into flesh, and you have all that untapped power that you don't know about. And when he said this, the reality around us crumbled back to the state of the castle. And the way this guy was, he like shattered into glass. It was weird. He shattered into dust and fragments and just dissipated. And I like warped myself outside of the castle gates, where there were these like barbarians like holding the line and protecting people inside somehow. And one of them was this like red-haired, blue-eyed, huge mammoth of a man. And he was wearing like these lion furs and these like tiger stripes, and he had this huge obsidian blade covered in crystals. And I looked at him, and he had an ally with him, and I saw his ally, and I looked at the guy with the red hair, and I told him, like, that's the guy that spread the virus. That's the guy that told the first lie about all this. And he's like, "This is the guy that got all the people killed," pointing to his ally. And the guy started, like, his darker haired ally, who had like long curly brown hair, grabbed a bunch of like files that were in this weird leather pouch he had, like a suitcase, but like medieval looking, as if somebody from the future had given him notebook paper and he had put it in a goat skin sack or something. And he started running, and as he was running, this like gateway was opening up in front of him. And my friend with the red hair took his massive like sword, which was like 7 feet long, and flung it at this guy. And as he was flinging the sword, I started slowing time down in front of the guy that was running away, and it looked like he was running in place until the sword got to him and knocked him down on the floor. And we went and looked at the papers, and they were plans for this like virus, this like thing about cloning people and creating alternate versions to trap other people with energy sources and systems, and how to manipulate the energy of different dimensions and bring it into one reality to create these like host bodies with this like artificial human form. I mean, these were all in these designs on these papers that fell out of this person's like goatskin sack. It was such an intense dream. And it was so vivid. I remember so much detail about it. I even remember my hands. Like, my hands weren't normal looking hands. Like, they were humanoid, like 4 fingers and a thumb. But I was covered in crystals. Like, my nails weren't just nails. They were like shards of crystal, like quartz crystal kind of. My skin, instead of having like, your skin cells, like they were still skin cells, but in certain parts I had like crystals growing out of there. I didn't have arm hair. I had like shards of selenite. It looked really awesome. It was really an awesome dream. And that castle place, it looked like Rivendell and the White Towers from Lord of the Rings, and like Lothlorien, but mixed with Narnia, and like one of those regal cities that they show in Star Wars that are like totally, beautiful, peaceful, utopian planet type of cities. Like this world was so lush and full of life and magic and science and technology and modern day things. Like there were vehicles, they just looked different. It was like the way we see them here, but the way we see them here is just the skeleton of what they actually are, as if we can only see like a certain portion of them. So like the layer on top of the metal that we see here is some kind of an organic material, but what we see here is just the condensed metal part of it. I don't know. It was a really intense dream, and it was really, it felt great. Like they were unexpected allies, man. They were unexpected allies in unexpected places, and they were the enemy forces. They had no power at all. Like what they were trying to do was absurd. So if you're like trying to figure out what's going on in the world, I mean, I'm taking the dream as a metaphor for what's happening in real life, because I've been really thinking about a lot of stuff. But it could also be a real place. I mean, those people were everybody had a backstory, everybody had history, everybody was someone, and they knew more about me than I knew about them, and there was consciousness in this dream. It wasn't just a dream. There was stuff in that dream, like, when you look in someone's eyes and you know that they're real. When I looked into that person's eyes that was about to hurt those children, when I looked into the other one's eyes that asked me who the one was that spread the first virus, like, was it that one? Were you sure? And he looked into my eyes. There was a distinct look in those blue, like sky blue eyes with like white lines going through them. It was a humane look. It was a look of justice and power. It was a look of someone who's lost and lived lives. The fairy godmothers I saw, they were so... They weren't even worried. Like, they were itching to be let out so they could just cause chaos. And these people, the like innocent people that were running around, they all had families. They all had places to go. All these people fighting and all the enemy forces, like, they didn't know they were bad guys. They didn't know. Even the one that in the dream that was telling me who I was in the dream, that I was some clone of the body of the earth spirit that was like trapped somewhere. even he had some story. He was afraid. He had life. He had, emotions. I could feel his skin. Oh, what a weird dream. I felt like two different people. Like, one version of me was this huge, massive, like, goddess of a being. And this other part of me was this humanized version who was told what to do and who to be and who they were and what gender means and what life means and what, money is. And like this, it felt like, when you're wearing clothes and they're just so stale and your clothes are dirty and they're just messed up, and no matter how much you try to clean them, those clothes are still gonna like have a stink on them. And it's not a stink of dirtiness, it's just it's like a lie. And I felt that so vividly. Like a version of me that was completely false. Like a brainwashed version of me that I had been living as for so long. And I had thought that that brainwashed version of me was real. And in order to know who I truly was in that dream, I had to realize that the brainwashed version of me wasn't me, but it was me. So I had to love it enough to like take care of that version of me, but love it more than enough to realize that that version isn't real. It's a broken version of me. So I can't stay in that brainwashed version of me when I'm aware that the real version of me was brainwashed to be that version. Get it? So the reason why I even decided to record this, because like the message that I was getting from the dream, and even after waking up, it's like no matter what you're going through in life, no matter what you think you've done, no matter what you think you haven't done, no matter what horrible things you've done in your life experience, no matter what, every moment of your life you have a choice. You have a choice to do the right thing. Not by the right thing that they tell you is the right thing, or the right thing that your family says is the right thing, or, the neighbor or whoever. No, the right thing for your soul. Not the orders you're following, not the orders you're not following, not the chaos you're creating, not the anarchy, not any of it, none of it. The right thing by your own moral compass. Do you remember that compass? It's like if you were the North Star and you always pointed to true north. What are you doing that isn't true north? If you know that you always do the right thing, you never get sick, and then you have sniffles, are you going to tell yourself you're sick? No, you never get sick. If you know you're a great and decent person, but you've been doing stupid shit, does that make you a stupid, shitty person? No. Just do what's right. I don't care if you're the Antichrist himself or herself. I don't care if you're the leader of the deep, or the Leviathan or Satan or whatever you are. At some point you were a baby. At some point you were happy, you were kind. And if you're the epitome of evil itself, at some point you thought what it would be like if you weren't that way. You always have a choice. And no one can take that choice away from you, even if they threaten you with death. That's when your real power comes in. That's when your soul wakes up and says enough is enough. Just like mutant evolution. in a time of stress and chaos, when survival is kicked in, when your morals are being tested, when you're pushed to your limits, that's when you evolve fully. That's when the genome cracks open. That's when the light gets through. That's when you realize what to do. I just hope that when those days come, if they come, ever, I hope that you make the right choice within you, not within them.